What is good, everybody? My name is The Generation 71. Thank you for tuning back into this kind of random video. It's not really too random. It actually has a specific topic. We're actually going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch today. And I know there's been like 5,000 videos already out there talking about, live reactions, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that type of stuff. This is more going to be kind of like a consensus of it all, kind of including like, hey, what people thought was good, what people thought was bad, and then just kind of giving you an idea of how I predict a Nintendo Switch line to kind of play out. So let's get started. So overall, I mean, that presentation, hour-long presentation, actually wasn't too bad by Nintendo standards. It's actually one of their better presentations compared to the last couple of consoles with the Wii or the Wii. Thing about it is, though, wasn't that great compared to just conferences in general when it came to PlayStation and Xbox. They had I forget his name. It's like Suda or Suna 5141, something like that. You literally had a guy who came out here and was like, "Hey guys, we're working on this game. Really excited to work on this game. Just to let you know, we're working on this game. Bye." And apparently, a lot of people give a lot of crap to the translator who was actually working for him. But what a lot of people don't know is he actually went off script. So the translator essentially had to do a live translation, which is really hard even with a bunch of experience. So that wasn't entirely the translator's fault. So it is what it is. As far as the presentation, though, they did do a healthy balance of showing what the hardware could do versus, showing some software that's going to be available for it throughout the 2017. The only, again, downside to that is we saw a lot of stuff that a lot of people did not want to see. Of course, with the Joy-Cons, eventually they'll just be called, the Switch remotes or whatever, but the Joy-Cons, the remotes, showed exactly what it can do with all the capabilities of with 1-2 switch, and then the fact that apparently you could feel like you're drinking a glass of water with the remote. That was a really weird comparison, but I'm sure in Japan that was like, oh my god, this makes so much sense. So but unfortunately, with that, we saw a lot of stuff that a lot of people didn't want to see anymore. They don't want to see motion controls. Like, unless they have people developing for it, and it's not going to be that game ARMS and as well as the 1-2 Switch as the only games that are going to utilize the motion controllers, there's not going to be much to kind of work off of that. So the other kind of disappointing part is they didn't really talk about hardware like specs. So they did give us kind of just straight up told us like, hey, so just so you know, you have possibly 2.5 hours worth of battery life to 6.5 hours worth of battery life, which is pretty bad for a portable console. But that's why they're getting with accessories. I bet you anything third party will come with like an extra battery pack. Nintendo already themselves have a car adapter to charge it, so it's going to be something where their main gimmick that it's portable is probably going to struggle a little bit. One thing that a lot of people are glossing over, though, and I'm actually kind of excited, is the fact that it seems like Nintendo might be embracing social media a little bit, because eventually they did state that the motion controls would actually be able to catch video that you'll be able to share on social platforms. So possibly Twitter, Facebook, hell, maybe even YouTube, which would be kind of awesome, which makes me think, I wonder if they're potentially trying to revisit their policy on, Nintendo content on YouTube. So if that is the case, that is awesome. That will actually definitely help with the advertisement of the Switch, and it needs all the help it can get right now. So I think it'd be really cool if they actually revise their plan of attack there. And so during the presentations, there were two major oohs and ahs of the whole presentation. The first one, of course, was actually Super Mario Odyssey being announced, the new Super Mario game for the Switch. It's their first 3D open world platform that is very similar to like Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine. So it'll be interesting to see, because don't get me wrong, I love 64 and Sunshine, but to a sense they were limited as far as open box. So you had the hub world in Sunshine, and yes, you can go to multiple different parts, but there wasn't really too much to explore in those different parts, whereas some like brief glimpses of this like open world version of Odyssey, it looks like literally you can go almost anywhere. I mean, you saw we were in New Donk City. Everybody was making fun of that name. You can go on to like any building as long as you can make it up there with like wall kicks and all that. So it looks like this is going to be open world times 10 compared to those games, which also is possibly showing off the power that the Switch has, which also comes back to the point, if you're playing it on the go, is that a little bit more difficult to actually keep a charge with them. The second ooh and ah, which has a double-edged sword, is Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The big ooh is, of course, we saw how beautiful the game looked, but it's going to be a launch title for the Switch, which is great. You would think, be like, I technically had made a video before the presentation talking about how this needed to happen, or else the Switch was going to have a very difficult time selling. It needed Zelda as a launch title, which it does, which is great. The unfortunate side of it, though, is that is the only launch title I can think of. So they have five titles in total that are launching. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Just Dance, Skylanders, and I can't even remember the other two. I think it was ARMS. Oh, and then 1-2 Switch. And that's not enough to sell a console, unfortunately. Obviously, they sold out of pre-orders, which is expected, but a lot of those is going to be a Wii situation all over again, where, yeah, it's sold incredibly well. People played it for a couple of months and then never touched the thing again. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of concerning mirroring effects from previous console generations that I'm hoping we're not seeing. I'm also hoping that they haven't just told us everything yet, because though this was kind of like a glimpse into the future, they're still going to be teasing out little more and more things, and they've been doing that. So that's why I'm kind of hopeful for that, because of course they announced the Switch here. We're making this. It's the NX. Okay, cool. Wait a couple of months. Okay, the NX is officially called the Switch. That's it. Wait a couple more months. Hey, this is what the console looks like. Okay, wait until the presentation, then give us all this. So I'm hoping what's going to end up happening is here until January 3rd, which is the launch date for the Switch, they'll give us a couple more titles, or they'll drop bombshells. Like I even said straight up, I will buy the Switch day one if they announce a GameCube Virtual Console for the Switch and I'm able to play Paper Mario Thousand Year Door and Luigi's Mansion. If they do that, it's done. You know, that's bought. I'm good. But they need something more for that, and I'm hoping that's coming, but we just don't know entirely for sure exactly what's going through Nintendo's head. Now, as far as a lot of people saying, hey, this is Nintendo's last hurrah, if they don't make this work somehow, they're just going to be out of business. They'll go the way of Sega. They'll just be a complete software developer at that point. Well, what people aren't seeing, they're just focusing on the main aspect of Nintendo, which is, of course, their gaming platform. But they haven't noticed ever since, I feel so bad, but I don't know the new president's name. Ever since he's taken over, we've seen a lot more moves by Nintendo that we haven't seen in previous years. First off, me personally, I work retail. I've seen so much more Nintendo merchandise than I've ever seen in previous years. It's crazy, little collectible shirts, cups with Pokemon on it. You've seen it just go crazy with the merchandise, and that has never been a thing before. To the point that with the 20-year anniversary of Pokemon happening last February, a lot of people were expecting a lot of those toy collectibles to be super rare, going to be Japan exclusive only. But we got a lot of that over here on the western side in the US too, and in Europe. So they've made a lot of strides when it comes to merchandise, which has a great profit margin. The other side that people aren't seeing as well is Nintendo has officially made a contract with Paramount Studios, or not Paramount, Universal Studios, to actually have a Nintendo section in their theme parks, which is crazy. There's I think 3 or 4 theme parks around the world that will actually have a Nintendo Land section, which, if you don't know, essentially, once you have that, you're set up for life as far as money goes. I think J.K. Rowling literally could retire just off the money alone she's getting for having the Harry Potter theme in Universal Studios. So even though, yes, things may not look entirely bright for the Switch right now, I want to put an asterisk on that, because things could change in the next couple of weeks or months. They're not doomed. They have been making a lot of plans to actually keep going forward with their business, even if the Switch ends up being another Wii U or Wii at this point. So, but anyways, in the end of this conversation, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me, disagree with me? Are you guys just like, fuck Nintendo, it's PlayStation or bust or whatever? Leave a comment down below. And of course, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you want, ring the bell, because apparently you need to subscribe twice for some odd reason, because YouTube is a genius apparently. And yeah, if you want to see more, there'll definitely be a lot more coming to this channel. But anyways, this has been The Generation 71, and we'll catch you guys later.